The Yankees have one of the best bullpens in all of baseball. Do they really need to add Josh Hader?
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. With me, as always, is my producer, Steve Granado. Steve, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, Stacey? Happy Monday to you, and thanks so much for clicking on the show here today, guys. We're still 5 days a week, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. You won't miss Yankees coverage. And Stacey, we're continuing today our Making the Case series. This is our third Making the Case episode this offseason. We've done Cody Bellinger, we have done Blake Snell, and today we are doing Josh Hader. So we've gone from the position player to the starting pitcher down to the pen. Should they sign him? That's what we're going to figure out here today. Stacey, of course, most people know who Josh Hader is, but in case you don't and you're learning about him for the first time, Josh Hader is a left-handed closer and has been one of the best relief pitchers in baseball over the last few years. I say it's like him and like Devin Williams, who weirdly enough teammates for a while there, but two of the most elite closing pitchers / relievers, back end, high end guys. So Josh Hader, 5-time All-Star, including this past season in 2023. He's also finished top 7 in the Cy Young race back in 2018. Stacey, we've referenced this article on every single Making the Case. It's super pertinent. This is coming from Major League Baseball Trade Rumors, MLBTR, one of our favorite outlets to go to. And of course, as we've talked about a couple of times, they do top 50 free agents in the offseason, every offseason, with projections of what that contract will likely look like. And they are usually pretty darn close. They anticipate that Josh Hader will get 6 years, $110 million this off season. So Stacey, as we do every single time, your reaction to that number when it comes to the Yankees?
That's a lot of money for a closer, but he's an elite closer. So we'll see if that happens. But as you said a couple of Making the Cases ago, they're good at this. Like, they're really close with their projections, and he could really get this from someone. Will it be the Yankees? Who knows? But that's quite a number there.
Sure is. And like on every Making the Case, we'll do pros, cons, things to consider, and our final verdict later on in the show. So Stacey, as we always do, let's start with the pros. What's good about Josh Hader?
He throws with his left hand.
Yes. Phil, you sound like me now.
Yeah, he throws with his left hand. The Yankees need that. That's always a good thing. And as you said, he's elite. He's an elite closer, and he's been that way pretty much the entire time he's been on the scene, so to speak, where you know about Josh Hader and you know who he is. And yeah, and he's completely changed his game. And it was interesting when I was looking up his repertoire, because I was confused at first, because on Pitcher List it said he doesn't throw a 4-seamer anymore, and I thought I was reading it wrong, and then I had to check, and he doesn't. He throws a sinker that's like a fastball. It's 96 miles an hour. The MLB average on a sinker is 93, so he's pretty good at throwing that sinker. He throws that the most out of all of his pitchers. He also has a slider and a very rarely used changeup. But again, no 4-seamer, which I find really interesting for him. So he's completely changed his game since he burst onto the scene in 2018. And it seems like he abandoned that 4-seam fastball for the sinker that kind of looks like a fastball. He's really only had one bad season, and it was kind of highly documented. 2022, he started off really well, and then he kind of fell apart in Milwaukee, because that's where he really came to be known as the elite closer for Milwaukee. And he was traded to the Padres, and they kind of gave him a break when he came over. And then he started pitching well again in September and helped them make the playoffs. And sandwiched around that bad 2022, he finished with a 1.23 ERA in 2021. with about 56 innings of work and a 1.28 in 2023. So he's really good. He's also another very good pro, healthy. The only things I could find, back spasms, he had a problem with that in 2022 and he had COVID-19, but didn't most of us get COVID-19? So he's pretty reliable and healthy. So those are all the pros for Josh Hader. And I think those are pretty good pros for Josh Hader.
Yeah, the surface level numbers, like the basic numbers are jump off the page, insane, all the best. There's nothing wrong, right? We'll
Yeah.
dive into some of the cons a little bit later. There are some deeper things that you need to look out for when it comes to playing for the Yankees in particular. I won't spoil that, but we'll get to that here shortly. But there is something to be said that he is top of game in his prime, the guy to get, right? Like he is the closer. When the Padres traded for Josh Hader, it was like,
Yeah.
whoa, like, and Soto, whoa, that was a crazy, crazy stretch of a few hours.
Hmm.
So, we shouldn't gloss over the fact that Josh Hader would very clearly make the Yankees the best bullpen in baseball. It's
Oh, yeah.
already close. Like the last 2 years, they finished like second. So for them to add Josh Hader, you are adding fire to fire. You consider at the time of this recording that, they're still mulling over going back after Wandy. So you do lose a lefty there, but you obviously would be adding a massive, massive impact arm at the back end that hasn't really been able to pitch in a lot of big moments
Hmm.
because of the teams he's been with. Obviously, like you said, he was a part of the run for the Padres in 2022 that got them to the NLCS. But there's very few bad things to say about Josh Hader when it comes to success because he has been one of the most successful pitchers out of the bullpen in baseball in last 5 years, like and consistently one of the best.
Yeah. Yeah, really. 2022 is really the only outlier there. I mean, the rest of the seasons have been unbelievable. And I'm just fascinated by the fact that he completely changed the way he throws just from that heavy four seam to the sinker. Because like I said, when I looked, I really thought I was looking at it wrong. I was like, wow, am I really off my game? Because I haven't been writing about this stuff in a while. And I had to make sure that I was right. But I like that he's been healthy. I like that he was able to regain his form after a rough patch there. Like I like that that bad year is sandwiched between two really elite seasons for him. And it just shows that he can bounce back from adversity, which is a good thing if you're going to be pitching in New York because there's almost always adversity at some point when you're pitching for the Yankees. It just happens that way.
Yeah, and especially considering what you're jumping into, at least at the state of where the franchise is at right now. But again, man, when you add Hader to the back of that bullpen, there's really not a lot stopping you. And you consider what Sam Breend has done as the director of pitching over the last few years with the Yankees and how he's been able to get the most out of basically everybody. Obviously, there's been a couple of outliers, the Luis Severinos of the world, the Domingo Germans of the world, but when you look at what the pitching staff, the pitching coaching staff was able to do in 2023 and get stuff out of guys that you had never even heard of.
Right.
When you think of what that type of staff can do with a guy who is already elite of elite, that's scary for the rest of the league. Like
Yeah.
what more could you get out of Josh Hader? What more can you ask? Nothing. But what more could you get out of him? Like that's when your eyes light up and you go, man, this staff, this director of pitching with this guy, like that is absolute match made in heaven. Like there is no denying Josh Hader would make the Yankees the best bullpen in baseball, and it wouldn't be close.
When you said eyes light up, I pictured, a cartoon character where they see someone they love and their eyes turn into hearts and they bulge out of their head. Like that's what I'm
Yes.
thinking of with that bullpen with Josh Hader in it. Like,
Yeah.
oh my
Yes. It would be insane.
God.
But
Hmm.
like we've said on all of these, nobody's perfect and everybody has some sort of downside. And that's what we're going to get into here next. Of course, you can leave a question here on the comments here on YouTube. Reply to that pinned comment down below. Leave us a Fan Mail Friday question. Of course, if you want to get priority on that, you can do so by joining the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. In the episode description above that comment is a link to a 14-day free trial. You can text Stacey, you can text me. You're going to get information from us all the time and stay up to date. Be a part of the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. Try out that 14-day free trial. All right, we're going to step aside. Again, nobody's perfect. What's wrong with Josh Hader? We'll talk about that next.
Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is super easy to use, and there's a wide range of betting options like spreads and player props, over and under, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Back here on Locked On Yankees, Stacey coming up this week for the everydayers out there. This is one that we've had banked for a while, and we have been waiting to do. We are reacting to our worst takes of 2023. Yes, every day we've been on here 5 days a week talking about the Yankees. We are bound to have said something dumb. We talk for 2.5 hours a week about Yankees baseball. We're not perfect. So we're going to be reacting to some of our worst takes from the season. That's going to be a whole bunch of fun. It's going to be lighthearted, but we'll have fun with it. So make sure to subscribe because that's going to be a good time. We'll make it a good time. Stacey, okay, let's get to the cons here. What's wrong with Josh Hader? Look, let's be frank. Not a lot. There's a lot of upside here. But there are some residual effects when it comes to the Yankees. And the biggest one to me is, what kind of effect would signing Josh Hader have on Clay Holmes? Clay Holmes has worked and has proven that he can be the Yankees closer, from my eyes. But signing Josh Hader nullifies all the work he has done. And Clay Holmes loses the closer's job because of that. Mm-hmm. Let's be real. If Hader's there, he's closing 90% of the time. And it relinquishes Holmes to the 8th inning, which is a good spot to be.
Sure.
But it's not the closer. And that could very realistically have an effect on how he acts, how he reacts to that, what the future of him in New York looks like. So I think we shouldn't gloss that over. That's not just a little byproduct here. There would very much be a residual effect when it comes to Clay Holmes if the Yankees signed Hader.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's an interesting aspect that I wasn't thinking about, because in my brain, I was thinking, well, it's a no-brainer. I mean, if they get Hader, I feel like, I was thinking to myself, oh, Holmes wouldn't have a problem with that, but Holmes is human. And like you said, he really earned that spot in 2023 and rebounded really well in 2023. And, at the end of the season, he was probably thinking to himself, all right, cool. I can call myself the Yankees closer. I'll be the Yankees closer in 2024. And if they get Hader, then it's like, maybe not.
You're gone, bro. Especially if it's at that projected 7 years. That means Clay Holmes, thanks, but no thanks. Yeah. You're never going to be the Yankees closer. That's just what that means. Like, and look, let's not mince words. Josh Hader is a definite upgrade over Clay Holmes. Like, let's not, like, of course it is. But if you're still going to be, like, if it were a trade, then yeah, clearly that's an upgrade. But it's not. Clay Holmes is still part of your staff. Right. And he's still part of your bullpen. And you still need to use him. And you still need to use him in high leverage situations. So what kind of an effect that would have, obviously we can't see into the future, especially if this is a theoretical future. But it's clear that the Yankees, if they were to do that, don't necessarily trust Clay Holmes 100%.
Right.
Should they? Maybe not. Be fair, spade a spade. But that also probably means that Clay Holmes is not a Yankee past 2024, because it's last year of arbitration, and that's it. He would very much see the writing on the wall and say, I'm never going to close. I'm going to become a free agent. I don't want to sign a free agent contract with the Yankees.
Yeah.
So that is something to consider. Another thing to consider when it comes to Josh Hader. I'm going to flat out say it. He is a terrible ground ball pitcher. He does not get ground balls. When you were talking about his repertoire, and he's basically a 2-pitch guy, which is fine if you're a closer. That's all you really need. He is only really throwing that sinker. 73% of the time he's throwing the sinker.
Yeah.
With that, it's all fly balls. Which, of course, when it comes to Yankee Stadium, not a great mix.
Right.
And it gets worse. When you consider fly balls comparing Yankee Stadium to Petco Park, where he just spent the last 2 seasons with San Diego. It's not insignificant. Don't look too much into this, but the wind is blowing drastically different in New York as opposed to San Diego. Wind blows out more to left in New York than it does in San Diego. There's slight more wind blowing out to right consistently in New York than San Diego. And consider this. He had a major benefit of playing at Petco Park with that wind. It blows in 45% of the time. It's blowing in towards the first base dugout. Look, it's not everything. Obviously, he still pitches well. He still gets swings and misses. Yes. But with the ball in the air, it is completely different. 45% of the time, the ball or the wind is blowing in at Petco Park. Compared to New York, that's 12%. That is drastically different. That is a third of the time plus more. Like, that is drastically different. The types of balls that are allowed off of the bat compared to for the sinker here for Josh Hader, right-handers are going opposite field to right field. Lefties are going opposite field to left field. So obviously he's going to be facing more right-handed batters just by proxy, which means the ball is going to be flying out to right, and he's not going to have that wind blowing in like he did at Petco. Just things to consider that, yes, he is elite and we like his stuff and everybody likes his stuff, but these are things that this is what major league clubs are looking at, right? You may think this is insignificant. You may think that this is, I'm splitting hairs and I'm just looking for something bad. I'm telling you right now, this is what front offices do. They consider all of this, right? You don't just go out and sign willy-nilly and go, oh, this guy, he's good and he's good. Yeah, why not? Let's try. No, these are all calculated decisions that front offices have. That's why they're there. That's why they get paid, excuse me, the big bucks, right? They are mulling over all of this information, and that's not insignificant information. There's also one other downside here, Stacey, and it considers his usage. Look, this could be blown up more than it is real, but it is something to consider. I'm taking this from the San Diego Tribune. I will leave it linked in the episode description for you to check out and read fully. This is coming from them here this past season. Quote, Hader has a pretty hard and fast set of rules about when he pitches, involving how many days in a row, how many outs, and what inning he works. He has pitched 3 days in a row twice this season. This is this past season, though he has not pitched a third straight day when it would have helped. He also has not pitched more than 1 inning this season, which definitely could have been helpful a few times. To be fair, some background. Hader was arguably overused by the Brewers for a couple of years, and also, according to several people, essentially then had that workload used against him in arbitration. So it is understandable he felt forced to put his foot down regarding his usage. There was a lot on the line as he approaches free agency this offseason. That was again written during the 2023 season. That was right at the end of September. There was a big hoopla about it when the Padres were in it, but weren't in it. Like, there was a whole thing, right? He didn't pitch. He wasn't going to pitch. And it was like this whole thing. So that is something to consider. It is not Bible. It is not set in stone. It's not like I think Josh Hader's a bad clubhouse guy or anything like that, or he's not willing to work or anything like that. His argument then was, are we in a playoff hunt? Let's be real. No. That was really the base of it.
I mean, I kind of don't blame him there, because if you're overused in the beginning of your career and you're able to put your foot down, because that's just ridiculous. And if they weren't really in it, because they really weren't, I mean, they were out of it the whole year. And it was kind of like the Yankees, like, oh, there might be a chance that they get. The Padres were the same thing. So I don't blame him for that. I just find that interesting, though, that he does have that.
He has a reputation.
Yeah.
When it comes to that. I guess that's the way to put it, right?
Yeah, but I mean, your arm is your bread and butter, and it's what makes you make money in baseball. And, if you're driven into the ground because you're pitching too many innings, I mean, you're the one who gets hurt and you lose the money. The owners are just like, all right, let's sign someone else,
Yeah.
So I don't blame
Yeah.
him.
Read into that however you like, right? Like feel however you like about that. I completely understand either way. All I wanted to make sure is that you knew that was a part of this thing. It's not like he's Madison Bumgarner in the 2012 World Series. Like that's not the mentality, right? It's not like give me maybe it would be if it came down to that situation. I'll take the ball every single day. I don't care. I'll go after it. But when it comes to the regular season, that is not the case. Just throwing that out there. Just again, we give you the pros, we give you the cons. That is part of the deal when it comes to Josh Hader. But can you overlook that? What other things should you consider? We're going to step aside when we come back. Some other things to consider and our final verdict. That's next. Back here on Locked On Yankees, Stacey wanted to give some other things to consider when it comes to Josh Hader. And I think the biggest question here is, look, we said that the Yankees have one of the best bullpens in all of baseball. They did in 2023. They had a really good one in 2022 as well. Is Josh Hader necessary? Like, is this overkill at this point?
Yeah, I think so. I think it might be overkill. It might be one of those moments where people are, if they get him, they'll be like, really? You're like, do you really need Josh Hader? Your bullpen is actually really good. I mean, it's already elite. So that's just like that would be an obnoxious signing for the Yankees. But then again, we want the Yankees to be obnoxious. But yeah, I feel like that might be overkill, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's not an insignificant question, right? Like we talked about it a lot during the season that we felt it was kind of strange. I mean, you also got to remember how the end of 22 was for Clay Holmes. But like we were like, man, it's kind of weird that they just are kind of just letting it ride on the closer front. Like they're just not even gonna really address it. They're just gonna go for it.
Yeah, like nothing was ever said, really, right? Like the
Yeah.
entire season, we were just like, okay, this is
So you're
how it's going.
just gonna let it ride. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, look, on that front, it worked. It was fine because
Yeah.
Holmes was good. Right? He was good. He had a couple stinkers, but hey, who doesn't?
Right.
Even Josh Hader had a couple of stinkers. He always does. Everyone always does. Mo had a couple of stinkers.
I was just going to say, Mo's had stinkers. He had What's Wrong with Mo week every single season in August. It happens.
It happens. It's how it is. Nobody's perfect. Other thing to consider on the positive front, this would replace Michael King. Right. This would help slide some things around and fill a void that Michael King would leave when he goes to the starting rotation. Just consider that. And another thing we keep saying here is kind of a theme. This can't be the only thing they do.
Right.
You can't have the Carlos Rodon effect.
Right.
You can't just sign Hader and go, hey, we went out and got the closer. I don't know what you're talking about. Why are you mad?
We're done.
Why is everybody upset when we're 10 games under 500?
Right.
Why are you upset when Josh Hader doesn't close because the Yankees don't have a lead in the ninth? Why are you mad? We got the best closer. Can't be the only thing they do. That's evergreen, though, right?
I feel like that's with everyone.
Yeah. There are multiple holes. I think when it comes to the closer front, I feel better about it going into 24 than I did 23.
Right.
So
I feel like this is a move they don't have to do. This isn't a have to move because there are ways for them to plug people into other spots in the bullpen because Holmes is basically your de facto closer. So I feel like they don't have to do this move. Again, it would just be like didn't even think to do that. Okay, let's add Josh Hader to an already elite bullpen. But again, if they do make this move, it can't be.
And this move would be them kind of going all in, right? Like this would be like, we're all in.
Yeah, I feel like
we want the elite closer.
Yeah, I feel like if they made this move, it would be on top of something else. Like I feel like there would be two big moves there. Whether it's Yamamoto, whether it's Snell, whether it's I don't think they're going to get Bellinger no matter what John Morosi said last week. But I feel like the Hader thing would be on top of something else.
Yeah. I guess that leads us to our final verdicts. Stacey, I ask you this every single time we do one of these making the cases. But we have made the cases. We have made the pro. We have made the con. We have given you everything you need to consider when it comes to Josh Hader being a Yankee. So, Stacey, if you are the Yankees front office, is it worth your time to go out and sign Josh Hader this offseason?
Only if they're going all in and making other moves. But if it's a solo move, no.
Yeah. I feel that. I think I'm leaning in that same camp. There are, for me, two ways you can go about this. Are you the big bad Yankees? The big bad Yankees would go out and get him, and they would go out and get Snell, and they would go out and take a flyer on Bellinger, and they would go out and trade for Soto. Like, they do all that dumb stuff, like maybe ill-advised stuff when it comes to the future of your franchise. Maybe. But I think I land on it's not uber necessary. There are other things to fill on your roster, and a closer heading into 2024 is not necessarily one of them. Because let's say Holmes has a good 24. There's a very real likelihood you can sign him for a couple of years, right? And that was let's be real, a pretty good trade.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty darn good trade to get Clay Holmes. And you have him right now under arbitration for this last 2024 season. And then if you can work out an extension with him, I'm not feeling too bad about that unless things take a drastic turn in 2024, but I don't really see that happening. It doesn't feel that way. He had a good 23 and he works well with his staff. I like Clay Holmes. So would Josh Hader be an upgrade? Yeah, duh. Of course it would. He'd be an upgrade to 99% of bullpens in baseball. But is it not worth it? But is it necessary?
Right.
And I think that's kind of where we're landing with this.
Yeah.
Is it doesn't feel super necessary. It's not like the starter front where you're like, dude, you need some depth here. Like, you need some help. It would be nice to add two arms here, or at least one, to really shore things up. You don't necessarily get that. You can plug more holes because what the Yankees got out of their guys in the pen that weren't necessarily supposed to make a big impact, like, that was very impressive. It was very impressive and pretty telling of how they can operate moving forward. If there are holes, seems like the Yankees can plug it with just about anything, which is miraculous that they're able to do that. So I don't know. I lean no when it comes to the reality of what they would do. They would do that in lieu of whatever.
Right.
In a perfect world, you go out and get the best player all the time. And I feel like every team should operate that way. But the reality is not every team operates that way. I'm sure they'll check on Hader. I'm sure they'll hear the number and they'll say, thank you very much. We wish you the best of luck. Please do not come to the AL East.
Right.
And
Yeah.
we'll move on.
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like, oh boy, what if he lands with someone else in the AL East? Then I'll be like, ooh. I just want to say that we're coming up. It's the 15th anniversary of the insane 08-09 offseason when the Yankees just went ham and they were like, the Steinbrenner kids were like, all right, Dad's going to die soon. We know he's going to die soon. So we're going to just buy up everyone and spend like billions of dollars on all these free agents. And Yankee fans, and Yankee fans are getting restless. And, I don't think that's going to happen this off season, but it would be kind of funny if, Hal was looking at things and being like, man, it's 15 years now. All right, maybe we need to do something. Let's just write some checks and get all these guys and just say, screw it. Forget the luxury tax. Let's be like Steve Cohen. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But what do you think? Let us know in the comment section here on the YouTube side. I'm very curious to what you guys have to say about this. Do we present a decent case? Do you think screw it, go all in? Might as well. Who cares? Life is short. Do it. Or are you thinking a little bit more along the lines of like, this kind of could be overkill, guys? I don't think it's super necessary. Curious what you guys have to say about that. So let us know in the comment section. Stacey, another week of the offseason. What do we got coming up this week on the show?
Well, we are going to be reacting to your worst takes because I did not have any bad takes this season at all. At all. No, we're going to be looking at our worst takes, and I'm kind of looking forward to this because I forgot about a lot of stuff that we talked about because we talk about so much during the season, 5 days a week, half-hour shows. I don't even remember half the time what we do the same day. So for us to go back and watch this, it's going to be funny.
Yeah. So make sure to hit subscribe. That's going to be coming up here on the show this week. And that's going to do it for today's Locked On Yankees. I'm Steve Granado.
And I'm Stacey Gotsoulias. We'll see you tomorrow.